afternoon, good night, folks. My name is Cabitha. If you don't know me, that's okay. Most people don't. And I go on a lot of vacations. In fact, I'm about to go on a vacation in less than a week. Terrifying. I don't know if y'all know this, but I like reading on vacations. I have some tips and some tidbits if you also want to read on vacation, because it's not as clean cut as just reading. So here's a couple of tips and tidbits and questions you can ask yourself to gauge how the vacation will go and how much reading that you'll probably actually get done. So tip number one, know your audience. You're gonna have friends who like to read and who aren't the biggest readers. The question that you can ask yourself is, are your friends fellow readers in the first place? Because if they're not, you're probably not gonna get a lot of reading done. Just knowing how I get on vacations with my friends who aren't readers, I barely get the chance to read because I'm too busy making memories and experiences or whatever with my friends that I don't get to see a lot. I'm about to go on a vacation to visit my sister, and me and my sister are big book nerds, okay? My sister is up to 50 something books this year. Hey, it's June. We both like to read together. We find that to be a good use of quality time together. And we also used to do it a lot when we used to live together, you know? So when I'm gonna go visit her, I'm gonna bring more books and I'm gonna be expecting to read more. And if your friends aren't readers and you still want to maintain your habit, how are you going to carve out time for that, right? Because during the day is probably not the best time. So are you gonna wake up earlier than everyone else so that you can read in the morning or read like a chapter in the morning? Or are you gonna stay awake later than your friends and like try to read at night, see if that's something that works for you? If you're still feeling kind of uneasy and you don't really know how to approach it, talk to the people that you're traveling with or to. They're gonna be understanding. They're gonna know that you like to read and you want to make sure that you are maintaining those relationships while still doing a hobby that you like. And if you're traveling with someone who likes to read, you can also discuss how many books you're gonna bring, what genres you're gonna like, how many pages they are, I don't know, length. You can probably coordinate on different books or genres that you both like. Tip number two, plan around your plans. If you are someone that has kind of a strict itinerary of we're going to this place and this place and this place and this place, you're gonna have to plan around that if you want to read as well. If you're kind of loosey-goosey, go with the flow, you're probably gonna have more time to read than if your itinerary is jam-packed. Neither one of which are a bad thing, they're just very different. But you're also gonna have different times for reading just based on what you're traveling for. You know, if you're traveling for a work vacation, you're probably not gonna read as much as opposed to if you're traveling to help someone with a procedure and you're gonna be in a doctor's office for a couple of minutes. I know on this trip I'm about to go on, I'm helping my sister with her wisdom teeth removal, so I'm gonna be stuck in an office for hours on end. So I'm gonna be bringing a couple of books with me to make sure that I'm just not on my phone and like draining my phone battery while my sister's getting, I don't know, teeth taken out of her mouth. Now, one thing that is very dependent on just the vibes and who you're with is the beach. A lot of people bring books to the beach. I personally don't see the appeal in bringing a book to a beach, but a lot of people do, especially if you're spending the entire day there. I do have a bit of a beach read that I do recommend though, and it's You Look Better as a Ghost by Joanna Wallace. It's mainly just because this book is really easy to put down and back up again, and you're not gonna lose a lot of the plot. It's also very fast paced, it's just really easy to get into. I read this as part of a book club and I enjoyed it, I had fun. It wasn't my favorite book that I picked out for this book club, but I did enjoy it. I recommend it for if you don't want to take it too seriously. Another great thing you can do on your vacation if you don't have a lot of time to read is to travel to a bookstore or to go to a library and interact with books, but not necessarily read them. You're still traveling, you're still on vacation, but you're not necessarily stuck at one place reading a book. Now, the main thing you want to consider is maintaining your reading schedule. If you have a page goal or a chapter goal you want to reach, you're gonna have to figure out how to form that into your vacation. But just a reminder, even if you don't keep up with your reading goals on your vacation, that's okay. You can totally drop them for about a week and pick them up when you get back home. It's not a big deal. It's okay because you're doing things that are important to you, like vacationing or work or visiting friends and family that you don't get to see a lot. When you get back home, you will make sure that you have the time for your reading goals. A slight tip is if you're someone that annotates, make sure to bring your utensils. This is something I've struggled with a lot, and I've actually lost a lot of things because I brought them along with me to trips. If you want to read how you normally read, bring your utensils with you. I personally always have to bring a pen because I write in my books, which cardinal sin, I guess. If you don't write in your books, or you don't dog ear and you think that books are sacred, that's totally fine. Bring your bookmarks, I don't know, but I write in my books and I also highlight in my books. I would have to bring both of them in order to read the way I read at home. I also, this has been gone since April. A big thing that people don't think about all the time when they go on trips is book clubs. So there's different kinds of book clubs, so I'm gonna talk about them kind of individually. If you meet in person, face to face, you're gonna have to figure out whether you still want to go to your session or not. So either through Zoom, FaceTime, whatever technology is available, if you still want to have your book club, you're gonna need to figure out accommodations. I know when I go on vacations, I always FaceTime my in-person book clubs because I still like being a part of them. If you are still going to your book club sessions, make sure that you still have something to contribute, you know? Don't make them have the session and then you be like, actually I didn't read this week, guys. Sorry. Be upfront with your group and be like, hey, I might not have all the time in the world to read, so can we move our session to next week? Or the week after, or however long you're on vacation for. But it's totally okay to ask for a week off so that you can enjoy your vacation and do the thing that you were there to do, travel. Now, if you're a part of an online book club, different. I am a part of an online book club, and I think one of our moderators went on vacation this past book, so she actually has already finished the book, and so that she can enjoy her vacation fully while still being caught up on what we're talking about on our little book club app. Meanwhile, I'm still gonna be reading a chapter a day until I go on vacation. And I'm actually gonna bring my book club book with me on vacation so that I can continue reading every day. That is just something that is based on personal preference, but the thing that's really nice about online book clubs is that your messages will still be there even if you're not reading concurrently along with the group. You can always read ahead or catch up if the month hasn't finished yet, and that's really nice. So that just means you can pace yourself accordingly when you're on vacation. It's something really nice about online book clubs. But the main thing to think about when you're on vacation is to prioritize the people or places that you're going to. It's to make sure that you make the memories and that the money that you spent on a plane ticket is worth it. You don't want to be holed up in your hotel because you brought 16 books with you and you think you have to finish them all, right? The main important thing is that you make memories with people and that you enjoy your time in a new location. Your books will still be with you. No one's taking them away from you. In fact, your books will still be waiting for you if you leave them at home. Your books and the stories within them are not disappearing just because you're not reading for the day. So don't feel bad about not reading when you're on vacation. It's totally natural. With all this jibber jabber, you're probably wondering, Riley, are you gonna bring your Kindle along with you on your vacation? No, I have too many in-person books, which means my carry-on suitcase is gonna be a little heavy. But I do want to share with you guys what books I am bringing with me on my vacation so that I can walk y'all through the process of how I chose all of these books. So let's start out easy. Let's talk about my book club books, because I think that's the easiest to start with. So I'm reading Babel currently by R.F. Kuang. It's really good. I'm about over halfway through it. We're reading it in June for an online book club, right? Am I gonna read ahead so that I can enjoy my vacation? No, I'm probably gonna bring this with me even though it's heavy and like 500 pages. Pray for my back, y'all. This is also a vacation where I'm gonna have a lot of time to read, and these chapters are about 20-ish pages. I'll be totally fine. I won't really fall behind. But that's book number 1. My other book club book is actually a family book club that I'm a part of. And since I'm visiting my sister, it's actually kind of apt that we're gonna be together for once for a book club. So we're gonna be reading They're Watching You. I have not started this yet, so I don't know really anything it's about. My sister picked this book for us, and since I'm visiting my sister, we're gonna have this book club together. And we're already making plans to make sure that we all have time to read and that we all have time to show up for a book club session appropriately. So this is book club book number 2. Now we're gonna talk about the books that I'm bringing for sheer leisure. Me and my sister are both avid readers, right? And we like spending time with each other, just reading in our own little world, our own little books. We actually used to do this a lot when we were growing up. My sister would knock on my door and be like, hey, you want a book club today? And book club doesn't necessarily mean we're reading the same book and we're talking about it. Book club just means We're reading our books together, but separately. And we're enjoying the quality time with each other. And we're gonna do a lot of that when I'm visiting her. So I already talked to my sister about it, and I said, hey, how many books should I probably read for this trip, since we both like reading a lot and we're both probably gonna spend a lot of time in our books? And she said about 3. I do not count the book club books as a part of these books. Here's why. At some point, I'm gonna have to stop with those books. Right? I can't just read all the way through because it's not fair. I'm bringing books that I can read all the way through and not feel bad about, that I can pace myself accordingly and not have to worry about it. That means I am bringing 5 physical books with me on vacation. So, to be fair, I'm not the biggest Kindle reader in the world. I do like my physical books a little more than my Kindle books. Let's talk about the first book that I'm bringing, and I'm bringing All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. I didn't know this was written by a podcaster, but here we are. I brought this along with me to a different trip, and I didn't actually start it because I didn't ask these questions, and I brought 2 books with me instead of bringing none. I didn't start either one of those books on that vacation. It was just not that type of vacation. But this is the type of vacation where I'm gonna read. And so I already know I'm probably gonna be finishing this book when I'm on vacation. I'm probably gonna start it actually this week before I even get there. So I might be like 50 or so pages in by the time I even land. Also, this is the book that I lost my tabs in. You see this? They were shoved in here. And so I pulled out this book and I'm like, oh, it's like it's not floppy at all. Interesting. It's because my tabs were in there. It's because I forgot that I put them in there. I thought I lost these. Mystery solved, it was in this book. So yeah, I've brought this on multiple vacations with me at this point. She is world traveled. And so I'm hoping that I finish it while I'm on my vacation. Book number 3, technically. Now the next book I'm bringing is actually a recommendation from my sister. And that's a big part as to why I chose it. It's called Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. My sister recommended this book to me like years ago, probably when it came out. I finally saw it at Target for like 20% off and I thought, I'll buy it. And since I'm visiting my sister, it feels fair that I should bring a book that she's already read. Especially because we do book club together in the way that we book club. And I am probably gonna talk about different points in this book that are spoilers to someone that hasn't read it, but she's gonna love my reaction to it because I'm very reactive when I read. So this is technically book number 4. And this last book is kind of just like if I read everything here and I'm still like 2 days into the trip somehow, I'm always gonna recommend more is better. So I am not gonna complain too hard about this because I have another book that I'm probably not gonna get to on this trip. But if I do, that'll be cool. And that book is And There He Kept Her by Joshua Moehling. Yeah, Moehling. This is not a part of a series necessarily, but it does have a follow-up book that I saw at Barnes & Noble in hardback and I already have. So I wanted to read the first one, get acquainted with the character. It's a detective fiction novel. And detective fiction tends to have books that are related to each other, but not actual series. It's a whole thing. So this is the first in a detective series kind of thing. And I love detective fiction, so I'm really excited about this, and this concept seems really interesting, so I'm very excited about that. With that, I'm gonna be bringing this whole stack of books with me for no reason other than I can. Those are my tricks and little tips to help you read on vacation. The overarching thing is just have fun on your vacation. Don't really worry about reading too hard. Don't be hard on yourself if you don't read. It's not the end of the world. I hope I get this video out before our vacation, but no promises. And if I don't get it out, I might have some fun little aesthetically pleasing footage of me with my sister. Hi, I'm back from my trip. It's July now. Whoops. I meant to get this out in June, and I didn't. But it's okay. I've been busy. I wanted to give a bit of like a roundup to be like, what did I actually read during this trip? Because I'm giving y'all all these tips and tidbits, but did I read everything that I brought? No. But I wanted to give you guys what I actually read, and also slight reviews on the things that I finished. I did finish things. I did finish a couple of books. Let's talk about the book that I ended up swapping out last minute. Sorry. And it was And There He Kept Her. I will get to this book eventually. Don't get me wrong. But I ended up swapping out for a different book last minute, which we'll talk about when we get there. But this is it's a non-entry anymore. I did bring another book that I also didn't even touch, I didn't even try to read. And it was all good people here. This is the second time I brought it on a trip and I haven't read it. I don't know why. I don't know why I haven't read it. It just wasn't the vibe. And one day I will read it. But the day's not today, apparently. You know what? I'm going on another trip later on this month. Yeah, I know. Shut up. But I'm not going to be bringing any books with me on that trip. So we're down to vacation. Now we can talk about book club books because I did read my book club sections, but like I didn't finish them, obviously. They're watching you. Honestly, it's okay so far. It's YA. YA is no longer my thing. It was my thing when I was like 16, because that makes sense. But like currently, as someone who is an adult right now, it's just no longer my bread and butter, but it's not bad. I am intrigued. I do have questions. The way that we split it up into 100 pages, but I still feel like I don't have enough to really talk about yet. And I feel like the story's still kind of just beginning. So there's a lot left unsaid, basically. They're watching you pretty good so far. I don't really know. But now let's talk about the other book club book, Babel. Now, I have finished Babel. Yay, I finished Babel. It's really good. I gave it 5 stars. I have never read Kuang before, but I'm kind of tempted to buy the rest of her books because this was so good. This was so good. And here's the thing. I've seen online reviews of Babel, not like breaking down the plot, but just like people's reactions to it. And people are like crying and crying and crying. And whilst I didn't cry, I get it. I get it. I get it. I understand. I understand. So that's really fun. This was my favorite book for June, the entire month. The entire month. I read 8 books in June. This is my favorite. I'm really excited. I would recommend this to anyone that I talk to, so that includes y'all. I did read a chapter a day, like I was saying in my video. However, I didn't finish it on the trip. I finished it like the day after my trip. So technically I didn't finish it on the trip, but I think I had maybe 30 pages until the end. But I love this book so much, and I'm so glad that I got to read it. I didn't anticipate on reading it, but I'm so glad that I did. That's the thing I really enjoy about this online book club that I'm in, is they're books that I wouldn't have picked up myself necessarily, because they're not inside my normal genre, or like the authors that I'm on the radar for, or whatever. But I end up really enjoying them, and I end up having like a good time for the most part. Now let's talk about books that I brought for leisure that I finished in full. We're going to talk about the book that I swapped out with And There He Kept Her, just because it wasn't the vibe. And also, I'm tandem reading this with a friend right now, and we bought this book after I had already filmed the first segment. I needed to do this anyway. And the book that I swapped that book out with is The Watchers by A.M. Shine. I gave this 4 stars. It was really good. I thought it was really exciting and thrilling. It's just like, you can only do so much for like a good majority of this book, besides just be afraid. You know, it's hard. It was a hard setting. I think that A.M. Shine did it really well, but it just like wasn't a 5-star vibe. And that just happens sometimes. It's a well-written book. I still really liked it. I would recommend this book, but it's just like, it wasn't a 5-star in my heart of hearts. But I finished this on the trip. Like, I finished this while I was sitting next to my sister. I literally was like, this is so crazy. But no, I thought it was really good. I think the ending, the twist, solidified it at a 4-star for me as opposed to like a 3 or anything lower, because I didn't even catch on to it. I should have. A.M. Shine left all the pieces there, but did I pick up on it? No. And finally, we have Love in the Time of Serial Killers. I technically finished this after my trip, but I didn't start it until I was literally in the airport on my way home. So I'm gonna count it as on my trip. I finished this in 2 days. Mind you, I was reading like page 200 something in an airport, and at that point, there were multiple smut scenes that I had to read in this airport. I am not someone that needs smut for a good romance book. I think romance can exist without a lot of smut in it. However, I was blushing. I was blushing bad. That is unfortunate. And I was doing it at an airport gate. But I ended up giving it 3 stars because I didn't like the main character very much. I didn't like the main character, and she was annoying on the utmost degree. Also, very millennial. Like, there's no way to describe her other than very millennial. And like, look, I know when reading books where the main characters are in their early 30s, they're gonna be millennial coded, okay? That doesn't mean that I necessarily have to like it. The thing about adult romance is I have to just tolerate the millennial stuff, but this one was kind of a lot. Also, I really didn't like her. Me not liking her took off a bunch of stars. The only thing that kept it a 3-star instead of a 2-star is the fact that she was plus size, but I always appreciate stuff like that. I wouldn't not recommend it necessarily. It's more like know my audience. If I think like one of my friends who is in their like early 30s, late 20s would want to read a romance book, I'd be like, yeah, give this one a read. But if it was like one of my friends who's like early 20s, I'd be like, probably not this one. So out of the 5 books that I brought with me, I read 4 of them. And then on the trip itself, I only technically finished 1 in full. But I finished 2 of them like the day after I got back. So I think that's a win. If you like this video, wouldn't hurt to give it a thumbs up. And if you have something funny to say, you can leave it in the comments. And if you liked my vibes, if you liked my energy, you can always subscribe and maybe even hit the little bell notification. That would be cute. Alrighty, I will see you guys next time with another video. Okay, bye!